Hi there, it's Kevin with GatheringMagic.com here with the wrap-up video for playing on a budget mono blue aggro. I am in love with this deck. Even though it just had a 2-2 finish, I really think that this deck is well positioned when we do have the metagame shift and when we do have the rotation into the Khans of Tarkir block. As we do lose some of the early drops, but I think that the deck is solid enough. I guess we have other 1-drops in blue that don't necessarily have flying, but at least have like either pseudo evasion or full evasion through unblockable. Let's just pull those up right now. So we're gonna go over here and we're going to look for just creatures with early converted mana costs and see if what's relevant. So Cloudfin Raptor's gone, but the Mystic isn't too bad here. Let's pull up this the display button to show you. So the Mystic is a 1/1 that can manipulate the top of a library. I don't think you'd necessarily want it for this deck, but we do lose Faerie Impostor, and we lose Gale Rider Sliver, but Hypnotic Siren can definitely be up to 4, and that's a very good 1-drop. And then also there is Triton Shorestalker, which is a 1/1 for 1, which is an unblockable. So in some ways, it's actually more powerful than a flyer. Yes, our flyers can actually block other flyers, which is, a pretty good in this format with being able to block like Desecration Demons and the Stormbreath Dragons and whatnot. But unblockable is exactly what you want to do in a tempo deck. I don't know if 1 is powerful enough. Again, a lot of these we wanted to be up to a 2/1, and that's why we're using Faerie Impostor and Cloudfin Raptor. We do lose the Impostor, which is going to be huge for this deck. But if we get any more aggressive blue drops, then this deck is very, very well positioned in the next metagame, mainly because Supreme Verdict is out. Supreme Verdict is something that kills tempo decks, and uncounterable board wipe is it. Delver, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Delver did not exist in the Innistrad Return to Ravnica days because of Supreme Verdict. What made Delver so powerful in the Scars of Mirrodin and Innistrad days was that you could counterspell the Day of Judgment, you could counterspell all the other things that would have affected the tempo deck of. See, Delver could kill very early with the Runechanter's Pike, but usually what it did is it just did 3/3/3/3/3/3 for 7 turns until your opponent was dead. And that's the gist of a tempo deck, is just to get out an early threat and then protect your threat. So Delver ran a lot of counter spells. It had Mana Leak at the time. It had a few other hard counter spells, and then it could run like negates and had access to some cool cards like Celestial Flare because they did splash for white, and also the one that countered a red or green spell. So Delver's, again, you just drop that Delver, it turns into a 3/2, and then just quickly ping down your opponent for a few turns while protecting it. And right now that is impossible to do with Supreme Verdict and cards like Abrupt Decay and Supreme Verdict. But with those going out of the format, so far without any uncounterable removal, I think that a deck like this will be very, very good. Now, like in all the games that I tested, this Negate was huge. Negate is very, very, very powerful. In fact, what I do right now is I'd probably take out the Disperses and put in Negates. There are very few decks that Negate is just a dead card against, and I think I'd actually just go with like a 2 of Negate and a 1 of Dispel main board. And then we could probably put in like another Military Intelligence. I really thought the Military Intelligence was worth putting in here, as most of the times I saw it in the hand it was, and multiple copies of Military Intelligence is actually pretty good because they're each going to get you a card. So we still have that card. So let's go back. Let's see what other 1-drops we have. A 1/2 for 1's not good. So it's basically just this Triton Shorestalker and Hypnotic Siren that will be our 1-drops right now post rotation. I do think that they're probably the more powerful of cards. See, Battlefield Thaumaturge is actually interesting. You could use with the Hour of Need, it becomes a more powerful card, but I don't know if it would actually want to see play in this sort of deck. And we do have Chief Engineer, so post-rotation we could go a different route with this, where we have Chief Engineer and Ensoul Artifact, and we can just go mono blue and get out cards like Scuttling Doom Engine really quickly, or Ensoul Artifact on an Artifact, and that could be another route we go. But I'm thinking that the next set will provide us with another aggressive card, and then we will have another 1-drop or 2-drop that is aggressive, and then this deck will definitely be able to survive post-rotation. But again, I think the biggest thing the biggest upside is no Abrupt Decay, no Supreme Verdict. The cards that are currently in Standard that could get rid of it are Anger of Gods, the 3-drop, which is very easy to negate, if you first turn do something, second turn do something, and then hold up the negate mana, and then just start pinging them down. And then we have a lot of higher board wipes. I don't think Planar Cleansing was reprinted, but there is some out of black. Black we do have to worry about. It is going to hurt losing Dispel. I believe Dispel is not in any other. Yeah, it's in Return to Ravnica, so I don't know if the new set will have a Dispel or a Dispel type card. Maybe if we do see like a Spell Pierce or something like that, it can be used for Bile Blight. But we do have Negate, and again, Drown in Sorrow is something that can be negated. And same thing with Bile Blight. The only problem with Bile Blight is it's 2 mana, so it can come out a turn earlier. And if you do go like 2 1-drops of the same thing, you can just get blown out by a negate. We do lose Mizzium Skin. We do still have Triton Tactics, though, that can counter a Bile Blight, as this will give them +0/+3. And that is just high enough to protect you against Bile Blight. I think Triton Tactics is a very powerful card as well, as it is very good against any sort of aggressive deck. And again, it can really, really protect your cards. So definitely post-rotation, we can think about putting more of these Triton Tactics in our deck. So still liking the Hall of Triumph. If we get another type of pump spell for blue, that'll be awesome. Again, I think that there is merit in some of these other cards. Quickling is so powerful. Loving the card. Don't think Omen Speaker would really work in this type of deck, but Quickling is so we still have access to Quickling. We still have Military Intelligence. We still have Hall of Triumph. We still have the Illusory Angel, the Ornithopter. We still have the Hour of Need. We do lose Rapid Hybridization, which is a bit of an issue. But again, I'm thinking that this deck is quite powerful post-rotation. I can even see Sage of Hours in more of your heroic strategy with Triton Tactics, maybe getting up to a 4/4 or 5/5, and you just keep protecting it. And again, I think that actually heroics in general, if we're looking at white heroics or white-blue heroics, get a lot more powerful with the ability to protect your dudes against. I mean, you have a Johnny's Presence right now that can protect against board wipes, but I'm thinking that the format's going to slow down a bit, and something like heroics is pretty good. They have access to some cards that just completely trump the other aggressive decks like Rabble Master Red, where your creatures just become bigger than theirs, and then they can't deal with it. And then like the life swings, the different life total changes that you can get with like heroic decks giving your guys lifelink is pretty big against those type of decks. So anyway, definitely looking forward to brewing around this post-rotation. I mean, we still have Vaporkin. I think that's a pretty powerful card. Just a 2/1 flyer for 2, as I'm sure that, if you can protect a 2/1, again, it works a lot like Delver. And again, we don't know what's going to see printing in the next set. But loving it. Let me know in the comments what you think about this deck. Again, it didn't have the greatest showing going 2-2, but it can be cut down in cost if you take out the Mutavaults. But I do think that Mutavault is a very, very huge part of this deck, and that's, I guess, something we need to touch on, that this will rotate. So I don't know how well it's going to perform without the Mutavault, because Mutavault got us back into so many games with Military Intelligence, meaning any drop that we can drop could then draw us a card, especially if you can somehow flash something. And I'd love to see another flash card in blue. A cheaply costed flash card would be great. Like Vendilion Click, for example, a card like that would be amazing to have in a deck like this, and you can go more of a tempo route and just tempo your opponents out. And I've been messing around with a UG Flash deck right now that is doing surprisingly well. Just being able to cast creatures as sorcery speed in this format is very, very good. But again, let me know what you think in the comments. I had a lot of fun brewing this deck. And we'll do a few more playing on a budgets before Khans of Tarkir. Looking forward to Khans of Tarkir. I will be in Salt Lake City Grand Prix doing the limited, so if you happen to be in the Salt Lake City M15 Grand Prix, definitely come by and say hello. Also, be sure, if you have not subscribed to my channel, it's YouTube/Rogue Deck Builder. I do more rogue variety decks there, where instead of more budget-oriented, they're more of the quirky, roguish type decks, more the Conley Woods type decks. I mean, that's what I'm known for mainly. I mean, the play on the budget is something I enjoy thoroughly. I used to be a budget player myself. If you go back in some of the episodes previous, you can see my story of how I started back into Magic through a budget. But anyway, if you do enjoy the more rogue type feel, definitely come check out my channel at YouTube/Rogue Deck Builder. And please be sure to like and subscribe to this video. Gathering Magic is a great YouTube channel with a variety of other personalities, and they do a great job. So definitely hit that subscribe button. This has been Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. Thanks for watching.